Atkins diet was introduced by Dr. Atkins, a cardiologist. The name the Atkins diet has previously been referred to as the Atkins nutritional approach and was developed around the idea that eating carbohydrates isn't good for the body as it stimulates the production of insulin, which can turn into weight gain. The Atkins diet follows a high protein, high fat, and low carbohydrate eating plan. Foods that are encouraged, which are high in healthy fats, include avocado, nuts and seeds, fish, olives, and olive oil. High protein food sources include chicken, meat, cheese, fish, and nuts. When following the Atkins diet, food that is supposed to be limited include bread, pasta, potatoes, and all grains, as well as cookies, cakes, and pastries. The low-carb trend within society today, seen in grocery stores and restaurants, is believed to have been introduced to the world as a result of this fad diet. There are even Atkins protein bars available in supermarkets that are low in carbohydrates and high in protein. As seen in the image, the Atkins diet is one of the most popular fad diets within the United States. The results show that out of all of the diets, the Atkins diet has been tried out by more than 1.5 million people within the US. So, you may be thinking, what's so good about that? What's so good about protein? Well, increased protein and fat within one's diet leads to increased metabolic rate, a reduction in cravings, and better control within one's appetite as they feel satiated and fuller for longer, purely due to the high content of protein and fat that they are consuming. The diagram above shows the comparison of the Atkins diet to a regular low-calorie, high-carb diet. It is evident that in the Atkins diet, as carbohydrates are reduced, this allows the individual to have steady sugar levels and crave less foods. Additionally, they're able to burn more fat as they're consuming high protein and high fat food sources, and that storage is decreased. An example of what you would be eating on the Atkins diet includes these 2 fried eggs in avocados, which the egg whites are high in protein and avocados and egg yolks are high in fat. This meal will leave an individual feeling fuller for longer compared to something that is high in carbohydrates and low in calories. The primary focus of the Atkins diet is adjusting carbs in a way that helps the individual to lose fat and maintain fat loss. The image shows the benefits of a low carbohydrate diet in order to reach fat burning stages and weight loss goals. There are 4 phases which it includes: an induction phase, balancing phase, maintenance phase, preparing for weight loss maintenance, and maintenance lifelong stage. As seen above, different phases allow different grams of carbohydrates in order to suit the time period and frame in which the individual is in. The induction phase starts off with restricting carbohydrates to below 20 grams a day. This is aimed at kickstarting the metabolism. After the initial induction phase, individuals can increase their carbohydrate intake by 10 to 15 grams every week. Additionally, balancing is all about ensuring that the weight stays off and is monitored. Stage 3 is all about finding the amount of carbohydrates that can be maintained and is healthy in order to keep the results achieved previously. This could include introducing some high carbohydrate foods back into an individual's diet, including starchy vegetables and whole grains. As this phase involves the rise of carbohydrate intake, it is essential to monitor weight loss. The last phase remains for the life of the individual. What the individual has learned through the Atkins diet, they can apply to their everyday life in order to sustain a healthy future. The food that the individual has been consuming can remain the same. However, individuals can also experiment with new food types to see if it suits their new lifestyle and diet. The goal is to find a level of carbohydrate intake that your body can handle and that it can burn off and be at a level that won't allow for weight gain. Around 100 grams of carbs a day is what this phase usually requires. The main idea around the low-carb diet is that by reducing the carbohydrate intake, the body enters a state of ketosis, which is the usage and burning of stored fat for energy. This can further reduce the feeling of hunger and overeating. Dr. Atkins' main word of advice to people following the diet was, it isn't about eating less like other common diets, it is about eating right. Low carbohydrate diets limit food that raises blood sugar and insulin levels, which force the body to use fat for fuel. When you consume large amounts of carbohydrates, the sugars from the food is released into the blood, where the body then reacts by releasing insulin to keep the blood sugar at an appropriate level. Insulin converts extra sugars to fat within the body after first storing some sugar in the liver and muscles as glycogen. When someone's carbohydrate intake is reduced, it will use stored fat and burn it for energy. This is when the body goes into a state known as ketosis. And when an individual is in a state of ketosis, fuel is extracted from carbon fragments that are developed by the breakdown of fat stores, evident in this poster, which explains the steps. After reading past experiences of people who have followed the Atkins diet, it is clear that it is maintained in the short term and the weight can be kept off. However, in the long term, people bounce back to their old habits and weight just gets put back on within 3 to 6 months. As the intake of carbohydrates on the Atkins diet is limited, this can allow the individual to feel sluggish, tired, and experience brain fog. The brain requires an average amount of 150 grams of carbohydrates a day in order to ensure that the brain has enough glucose to function and work properly. Carbohydrates make glucose, which can be used for energy instantly or stored for later use. This is compared to fats and protein, which take more time to break down and reach the brain. From research gained, I don't feel that reducing carbohydrates is a healthy option for weight loss, as carbohydrates are essential for many functions within the body. People are always focused on how many carbs they are consuming. However, if someone overconsumes protein or fats, this can have a similar effect and result in weight gain. I think the Atkins diet can be followed, however, it needs a lot of strict maintenance in order for the individual to keep all the weight off by the end of the 4 phases within the diet. My opinion is that as soon as you eliminate a food group or a specific food, then the individual will want to consume that food even more. Therefore, the restriction of carbohydrates and keeping it to a low, I believe that it's difficult to maintain and sustain within one's life. From research, it is evident that carbohydrates should be limited, however, only certain types. Refined sugars and carbohydrates that include white bread, sweets, soft drinks, chips, and pastries should be limited as they are no good for the body. However, whole foods and whole grains, such as bread and pasta, are really essential in an individual's diet. Therefore, a healthy diet with all the nutrients included is essential in weight maintenance and a healthy, balanced lifestyle.